guys, I'm Ellie and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing my best and most surprising reads of 2018. I love doing these videos every year, so I'm so excited to do it today. As always, if you guys have ever seen any of these from me before, I will go through some of my most surprising reads. These are just books that I may have just picked up on a whim, books that I wasn't really expecting to love. I mean, I like to go into every book expecting that I'll love it, but that's just not always the case, you know what I mean? So they were just books that really surprised me how much I love them. And then I'll also talk about my 3 top reads of the year. Let's go ahead and get into this. One of the first most surprising reads that I had this year was Girls Made of Snow and Glass. This is mostly a surprising read because for some reason I thought this was a thriller about drugs. It's not at all. It is a fairy tale retelling maybe Snow White and a stepmother. This is such a fresh retelling because it just focuses on the 2 main women of the story and is more about friendship and family, choosing your family and how strong that can be. About this woman who basically she was supposed to die, but her father makes her heart out of glass, ends up marrying into the kingdom, and in turn she finds out that the daughter of the king was actually made out of the snow. So that's where you find out about that. It gives a whole new meaning to Snow White. You find out that one of our main characters, the one that has the glass heart, thinks that she cannot love because of this glass heart. She thinks that means that she cannot love anyone, and kind of the different things that happen there. It talks about their growing relationship as a mother and a daughter. So it was such an interesting take, and I loved the way that it ended, and I just thought it was such a great little retelling. So I was really surprised at that, how much I ended up enjoying that. Another retelling was In the Ocean is Our Sky, and I don't know, I kind of went into this not really expecting much. It was a shorter book, and I thought that I would be able to finish it for a readathon. This is actually a Moby Dick retelling, which I would have never really thought to pick up on my own, but it's Patrick Ness and it has some beautiful illustrations in it. This follows a group of hunting whales that are going to hunt down the legend hunter Toby Wick, who is a human, and this was just so interesting. I love the way that it was told. I know a lot of people haven't really liked it, so I guess that would be another surprising thing, is that I really enjoyed it. Definitely up there in some of my favorite different types of retellings, so I never ever would have picked up a Moby Dick retelling before in my life, but I really liked it. So my most, I guess, surprising and best short story collection of the year was All the Names They Use for God. I only picked this up because the cover was beautiful. I knew nothing about it. With short story collections, it's hard because sometimes they have a theme and sometimes they don't. This had just a little bit of magical element into each story, and I really loved it. It just has some really great different stories in it about relationships and about women, and great short story collection. I don't think there was any that really let me down, so I was really surprised I ended up liking this because I've seen no one talk about it, and just because I kind of just picked it up on a whim. I saw it on Amazon one day and I was like, I really like the cover of that book, I'm gonna get it. So ended up being one of my favorites. Another one is Strange the Dreamer. And I heard people raving about this, but it's a big book. And the premise just didn't sound exciting to me. Whenever you try to explain it about this librarian who dreams of this city that has disappeared and his journey to get there, and about him meeting this woman in his dreams and how she's actually a real thing. And you get to see their different sides of the story as they come to find this forgotten city. So it didn't sound all that interesting to me, but I gotta tell you, this book blew my mind because it is written so beautifully, it is so well crafted, it is so unique. Laini Taylor wrote her own mythology. It is by far one of the most impressive books I have ever read. So I was really anticipating Muse of Nightmares. Haven't gotten around to it yet, but we'll get there. But I honestly was so surprised at how much I ended up loving this, because just the overall premise just didn't really excite me, and it took me a long time to really get into it, but I was not disappointed at all. Next I'm going to throw in a graphic novel, and that is Zodiac Star Force. I was a little nervous picking this up. I kind of just picked it up because it was bright and colorful, but it had superheroes, and superheroes aren't really my thing. It follows a group of girls who are superheroes based on their zodiac signs. So I thought this was going to be whatever kind of cute, a little bit of fighting. No, it's not as great, okay? It is these kick-ass girls, and they're awesome, and I just love them. I love the storyline. I love learning about the different Zodiacs and their powers and other things that are happening, so it's just ended up blowing my mind in one of my like go-to graphic novel recs now. Another one is Stalking Jack the Ripper, and I have owned Stalking Jack the Ripper for quite some time now, like 2 years, and I've just kind of been putting it off because it just seemed kind of cheesy. I don't know, something about it just seemed kind of cheesy. I was like, I'm probably not gonna like it. It's about like this girl who wants to be one of those people that works on dead bodies. What are those called? I can't think what they're called. But she wants to work on dead bodies, and in the 1800s it's very frowned upon. She's a woman, she can do that stuff, but she don't do that stuff. But it's about her and her hunt for the killer Jack the Ripper that is going, you know, he's in his reign of terror right now. So it is her trying to solve that mystery and dealing with his dead bodies and things like that. However, this is definitely more of a romance. Let's be honest. She meets Thomas Cresswell, who also has stolen my heart, and they are just so bickery back and forth with each other, and I love the tension between them, and I ended up absolutely loving this. I flew through it, and I ended up loving Hunting Prince Dracula as well. So they were just really exciting. I enjoyed them way more than I thought that I would. They weren't nearly as cheesy as I thought, so. And then another one is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I didn't think I was going to like this because it's a romance. It is a historical book though, and it is about this actress. It is a woman that goes to interview this actress, and she basically wants to know the life of Evelyn Hugo, and Evelyn has had 7 husbands, and the main question everyone asks is, which husband did you love the most? So you get to hear all the stories about how she came to fame, how she gained her success, the husbands that she had, how they were all different, things like that. So it was much more complicated than I ever would have thought. I listened to the audiobook. The audiobook was fantastic, and it ended up just blowing my mind. It became one of my favorite reads of the year. It was just so good. I mean, the hype is real, and for good reason. It has lesbian, bi, and gay rep in it. So, and it was just absolutely such a beautiful book. Then we have Dredd Nation. I didn't like Dredd Nation because 1, it's zombies, and 2, it takes place during and after the Civil War. Those 2 things don't interest me, and they definitely don't interest me together, but apparently they are my new favorite thing in the world. So I need more historical zombies, apparently, because it was amazing. It follows our main character. She was the daughter of a slave owner, even though she is black. Slaves have been sent to these schools to become escorts for white people during this zombie apocalypse so that they will kill the zombies and the white people live. Go figure. This follows our main character, and she is sassy and badass, and I love her, and she lives in a morally gray area, which you have to in a zombie world, let's be honest. The first part of it kind of takes place around Virginia, DC area, which is near my area, so that was exciting, and it goes into like the school and some of the things that she has learned and some of the mysteries that is happening in this town. It is also talks about the West and how there are new communities popping up out west that say they're free of zombies, so you get to see a little bit. It's a little bit of a Western, I guess, too, but it was fantastic. I loved it. I can't wait for that. I also listened to the audiobook of this, and it was great. This was the year of audiobooks for me. Like, audiobooks were so good this year. My lip gloss be popping. My lip gloss be cool. My lip popping. It's a school. Back to our scheduled program. The last one that I'm going to talk about, and I don't really know why this is a surprising read to me because I kind of figured I was going to like it, but that has to be Red Rising, and I think it's just, I'm more surprised at how invested I became in the characters and their lives, and also just how surprised at how long it took me to read a book that I love so much. So, Red Rising, I haven't even finished the series yet, and I don't know why. I think it's just because the books are so big and they are so jam-packed full of stuff. But I love the characters, I love the world. It is a sci-fi world. It follows Darrow. He is a red, which is the lowest of the low of people, the tiers of people. Finds out some things about his world, and he goes to infiltrate the Golds, which is the highest. And the first one takes place at this academy where they have to do like this bloodbath of an adventure, and it is insane. I just remember thinking, oh my god, Pierce Brown, these are some sicko thoughts, but I am impressed. So I ended up really loving it, and I'm mostly just surprised at how invested I became in the world and how much I ended up loving it. I knew I was going to love it, but it's sci-fi, and also there was a lot going on, and I remember being like, I don't know what half these things are, I don't know what's going on, but I ended up just, it didn't matter, I loved it anyway. Can't pronounce half the things in it, but I still loved it. Let's get into my top 3 favorite reads of the year. I feel like there's so many books that I haven't even mentioned. Coming in at number 3 is probably going to be The Woman in the Window. And I know this book was so extremely hyped this year, but honestly, I think the hype was worth it. It is such a great psychological thriller. There are some things that you can see coming, but I think the overall event that happens at the very end, like, is so shocking, so surprising. Like, I didn't see it coming. But this was such a gripping story about this woman. She's agoraphobic. She refuses to leave her house. You're not really sure why. It's been so long since she's left her house. And she kind of neighborhood watches, like, I don't know if it's in a creepy way, but I guess it's in a creepy way. But she ends up looking out her window and she watches one day what she thinks is her neighbor being killed. She befriends the neighbor's son and she becomes friends with him and tries to kind of figure out some things, but she ends up being visited by who she thought was the dead neighbor, I think. And basically she befriends this woman, but no one can remember her being friends with her, and like they make her out to be crazy. It's basically you deciding whether or not that she's crazy or not, like what's going on, what has happened in her life, who has this person actually been killed, if so, who has done it, and things like that. And it was just such a gripping tale. It was just one of the best mystery thrillers I've personally ever read, and I think at this point I've read quite a few, so I thought it was well worth it. I really enjoyed it. It was it's one of my favorite mystery thrillers, so definitely worth the hype in my opinion. This next one will probably come as a shock to you all, and actually I haven't mentioned this book in any of my wrap-ups because it is for a special video that I'm doing, but I couldn't not mention it for this video because of just how much I loved it. It's actually a nonfiction book, and it is The Rise and the Fall of the Dinosaurs, and this is exactly what it says it is about. So I listened to the audiobook of this, so I would recommend, if you are going to listen to the audiobook, get a physical copy as well, because there are pictures in the physical copy that will help with some of the things. However, I think that the author did such a great job at describing things that I was still able to picture these dinosaurs and not dinosaurs in my head. This starts at, I'm not very good at remembering like scientific names and things like that, but this is basically right before the dinosaurs are really like, they haven't peaked yet, okay? This takes place before, and basically giant alligator type things are ruling the world. Then it gets into what happened to these like giant crocodile alligator type things. What has happened to them? How have these lizard type things gone extinct? And how did that make the dinosaurs become the ultimate thing? And like the rise of the T-Rex and the Brontosaurus and things like that. And it was just so interesting. I was entranced into this. I loved learning about all the information. I now have this newfound spark for dinosaurs. I was literally going around. I told my coworkers all about the dinosaurs. I was telling Brian all about the dinosaurs. Like, I couldn't shut up about the dinosaurs. And I'm really hoping that we get to go to a museum that has dinosaur exhibits really soon, because I really loved it. I would love to look more into it. I've tried to find documentaries, but there haven't really been any really good ones in the past 10 years, especially ones that show the dinosaurs with feathers. I learned so much, like there's the amount of times that they actually find fossils and new species like isn't as rare as we thought, and like all this other stuff, and it was just so interesting. I loved it. I love that you get stories about the people that have found these dinosaur bones and what has led to these things, and you get to learn a little bit more about dinosaur personalities and things like that, and what made the dinosaurs go extinct and how some have survived and things like that. And it was so good. I never in a million years would have thought that I would have loved this book, but it's one of my favorites. I would love to have a copy of it. It was just fantastic. It has to be in my top 3 favorites of the year because I was just so blown away with how much I love this book. And then number 1 has to be Eliza and Her Monsters. There are very few books, okay, I'm a crier. I love to cry reading books, but there have been very few books that have hit me so emotionally strong, that I've been so overwhelmed that I felt like someone had put my soul into a book, and this is one of them. this book just hit me in all the feels, and some of the things were just silly things. Like, she described like just a small event that happened to her, and I was like, oh my god, that thing has happened to me. I have done that exact same thing. Like, we are the same. And I just loved it because it is about a girl who creates these comic books anonymously online, and she has become quite famous, but no one knows who she is, and she's kind of an outsider at school. And there's a new boy, and she finds out that he actually writes fan fiction based around her graphic novel series. Then she struggles with how are they going to be friends, is she ever going to tell him, and things like that. And it's about a budding romance, and it's such a cute and unique romance, and it was just, it's so good. She has anxiety, and just the way that anxiety was described in this was just so spot on. And I was like, I have been in those moments. I was sobbing my eyes out. I kind of started and was like, this is gonna be whatever. Like, it's probably cheesy, whatever romance. I'll probably rate it a 3 out of 5 because it's whatever. And it was just, it was not at all. It was by far one of the best books I've ever read. Nothing has hit me that hard in quite a long time. It was just so good. I still somehow don't own a copy. I own an ebook copy, but I don't own a physical copy because I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of waiting for them to come out with new covers because I ain't really a fan of the cover. I guess I could always make my own. So those were some of my most surprising and best reads of the year. Obviously, I read 125 things in the year. There's no way that I'm going to be able to, like, I don't know. There's no way that I'm going to be able to tell you everything that I really loved and that really surprised me. You guys can always check out my Goodreads for that. Check out my wrap-ups. See what I love the most and things like that. But those were some of the ones that just really stuck out to me this past year. Hope you guys have liked this video. Don't forget to subscribe to see future videos from me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!